If you're watching this video, you're probably feeling pretty sad right now. And you probably feel like the world is worthless. Like you don't really feel like you have a life to have anymore. I don't want you to ever feel like that. And that is why I'm going to provide insight into my life, as well as why I'm creating, in hopes to inspire you to keep going and to always look at life with the knowledge that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. Because life is a joke and we are the punchline. We all have our own uniqueness and our own failures and our own trials. Some are harder than others. In my case, I was assaulted many times as a child in a very specific way. I was nearly killed many times, and the only place where I found solace, the only place where I found peace and felt joy was when I went to Disney, which my family went into very much debt to take me to every year. And it was the one place where I felt safe. It's the only place I felt safe. And so I grew up with this thought in my head that I will become an Imagineer because I want to bring joy to people's lives. I want them to never feel like I feel. And this place brings me joy. And therefore, if I can work here and make cool things for other people, I can bring joy into their lives too. Once I hit adulthood, after quite a lot of other things, I had a relationship with one of my closest friends that I'd known from my childhood. We accidentally found out that we were going to be parents, and 6 months later, we were not parents anymore. Not at all. I held him in my arms. I never got to see him again. And I gave up hope. I gave up all hope. She and me ran off in our lives. I ran off to Germany with family who was going out there because I thought, I can go to Europe and, I can go be away from all of this, escape the life that I've had and the pain. And instead, I just ended up suffering in silence and alone because I ran and she ran too. And when we finally had got our pieces back together, enough to function, I lost her to a car crash while I was living in Germany. She called me on the phone and her last words were, "I love you," before she went. I lost all hope again. I lost all will. And then I lost my favorite uncle, my one family member that I truly believe understood me more than anyone else. I lost him to lung cancer. I was not able to see him before he went. I was not able to say goodbye. And continued to have no hope in this world. And yet I kept going because all I wanted to do is at least try to make one person in this world happy. Years after, in Germany, I had finally gone back to the States. And I met the love of my life. Fizzy. Yes, that is Fizzy right there. Don't question it. Don't question it. But no, I met the love of my life, and I finally had hope in my life again. And we were, a couple months before we were getting married, almost were killed. We almost died in a car crash. Her back was utterly wrecked, and she still can not really walk very well because of it. And even through that, we didn't stop. We didn't say we're done. We give up. We kept going because we wanted to live a happy life. I think that's what everyone inevitably strives for, is a happy life. And eventually we had a child. A menace, but a child. And life seemed great. We the pieces were being picked up. I was finally picking up all the pieces in my life and finally getting, to where everything was good. And I still wanted to make something. I still wanted to create. I still wanted to bring people joy. And I sat there and could figure out how I wanted to do it at that point. And I still thought, hey, Disney, it's Disney will be that joy. I'll get that and everything will go well. I did not end up getting Disney, at least so far. And I did end up getting, some great jobs that were, really humbling experiences, because I realized that the world is not as dark and scary as I wanted to believe it was. But eventually, all good things come to an end, and I changed jobs so that I could come out to where I'm currently living. And at the time, my Fizzy was pregnant with our second child. And my job was not exactly the best of jobs. I worked for a company that is well known for their, for being bastards. Let's just put it that way. My second child was born, and she had a hole in her heart, which needed medical attention. So we, were dealing with that, scared out of our minds. Everything we hoped would go well with everything else. And then I lost my job because they did mass layoffs, which I found out was typical for that company. And I didn't realize that at the time, because my thought was, I'm going to get this job and I'm going to stay in this job and I'm just going to be happy with my life and just accept what I can't do, and just accept that, life is life. And it destroyed me to lose that job. I almost ended up reaching a point of no return. We scrambled to survive for a good few months, just barely scraping by, hoping to somehow that I would have a new job coming up. And in that time, I had decided, if I'm going to go out, if everything is coming to an end for me, if this is the end of my punchline, then I am going to be the best goddamn punchline I can and try to provide as many people joy that I can all the way to the end. And that is why I started my channel, my first channel before this current channel. And that channel failed. And I tried to do charity streams and many things with it. It was a failure. But it was an experiment, and it was life, and it was trial, and it was error, and I made mistakes with it that I learned from. Mistakes that ended up costing me my visibility across the algorithm, but mistakes, shit happens. And then I got a new job. And I am currently in that job, and I've been in that job for a while, for a good long time now. And I love that job, and I love the people that I work with. But I still want to provide you all joy, and that's why I do this content, is to try to provide you some joy in your lives, so that you may not ever feel as miserable as I did, so that you may not feel as if the world is without merit, that there is no light at the end of the tunnel, because there is. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. It's simply that life is trial and error, and a lot of trial, until you finally get to that point. And to this day, I still continue to make my content every day, every single day, though I did do a very bad thing by locking myself in my office for 2 years, barely seeing my family, to try to survive and try to get this channel going and try to get a job and try to get stability. And I regret it. I regret not spending enough time with my children. And now I try to. But I also try to ensure that I provide you all the content that brings you something into your lives. Because content like Jack was content that brought me at least some sense of warmth in my life when things were down. and content like Vlad and content that's just silly. And I hope that I provide you the same as much as I can. And beyond that, I try my hardest to help as many people as I can, which was really one of the big reasons I started the channel in general, was to help people run charity streams, get money to those charities, get the people that need it the most the help they need. And I continue to strive for that. And to my future self, I say, you better damn make it, or I swear. And to all of you, I say, don't ever give up on what you want out of life, and don't ever feel like the world is not worth it. If you ever feel so down that you have nowhere else to turn, I am always an open ear. I will listen, because I don't want anyone else to experience what I felt. And I don't want anyone else to unalive themselves over trivial matters that are just that, trivial. Because throughout all trials in life, you only have one. And you should try to make it the best you can. No matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone does. You should always chase what you want out of life. So I hope you found this message useful. And to my future self, you better fucking make it. But seriously, I don't really care if I'm rich or poor or old or young. None of that shit matters to me. It doesn't. Rich, poor, we're all the same. We're all human. And I feel people put a lot of stake in that, and they believe that everybody wants that in YouTube, and that's all they do YouTube for, but it's not really the case. I would love to be able to make content and be full-time, only making content and doing charity streams as well, and providing you all the content that you deserve, you damn well deserve, to cheer up your lives. And maybe someday that'll happen. Maybe someday I'll reach that point. And if I don't reach that point, as long as I can provide you all some joy, some peace, some inspiration, then I'm satisfied with my life, and I don't regret making the content I do. So thank you for watching, and I hope that you got something from my message.